good evening, Sara. It is so good to see you. Tell us a little bit about where are you right now? Where are you talking to us from?
My home in Santa Rosa, where I'm sheltered in place with my husband and my dog. And so I'm in my home office.
How are you dealing with the sheltering in place business?
Yeah, I think we're doing pretty well, actually. Both my husband and I have been consultants, and we've worked out of our home offices for many years. So for us, it just wasn't a huge shift in how we operated day to day. For a lot of people, all of a sudden being home all day, sometimes with their spouse, both of them trying to do their jobs from home, that's a challenge. But we've each had our own offices, and we've been doing this for many, many years. So we're in pretty good shape, I must say.
Well, that does bring us to the area of your expertise, having to do with what it's like if you're growing older and you don't have children, and you don't essentially have a family. Tell us a little bit about what your work is all about in that area.
I decided to write my book on solo aging, because one of the things I noticed is that a lot of people in their very old life, when people are in their late 80s and 90s and they really do need help, that help was mostly coming from their adult children. And it made me really reflect on my own situation and that of so many of my professional friends, especially my professional women friends, and to ask the question, who's going to do that for us? So that led me to start really researching the whole issue of what does society in general do with their members who do not have family when they get older and run into challenges taking care of themselves.
Yeah, if you're looking at somebody who might be in their 50s or 60s and they're looking to retirement, what are 2 or 3 things right off the top that you'd say, be sure and do this. Don't forget about X. I know your book is full of this advice, but for our viewing audience here, why don't you throw out 4 or 5 things that you'd say right off the top would really be important?
The number one thing that really helps people have what I think I and they would call a successful retirement or successful aging trajectory is a social network, a group of people that they care about and that care about them and that they stay in touch with. I am expounding on that both in writing and orally like this in the last month, because people are so terribly isolated now. And for solo agers, people who are living alone, it's doubly difficult. It's all about our social networks. It's all about the people that keep us feeling vibrant and worthwhile and that add meaning and purpose to our lives.
Including religion and going to church, it turns out, being a member of a church group.
Yes,
maybe a bold
absolutely.
Whatever, but it's just you have this group,
Yeah.
So let me ask you what you and Chuck are going to do, because here you are, don't have these kids who are going to take care of you. So what have you guys got planned?
We have a very, very strong social network between the two of us, and we're staying in very close touch with them during this period of isolation. We have Zoom lunches and Zoom cocktail parties. My husband actually plays in a band, and he and his band members have found a way to practice online with each other and to actually play music online. So we're finding all kinds of ways to keep ourselves busy and to keep ourselves social and connected.
The network is critical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as we were talking initially about what we would like to focus on in this interview, the thing that came up was, again, this sheltering in place and this coronavirus business. What advice would you have for people about how to deal with this if you're at that stage in life where you're starting to retire and so forth?
Yeah, I really, my advice is not too terribly different from the advice I would give anyone who, especially those living alone, is to reach out and schedule these face-to-face, virtual face-to-face meetings with people. The technology that we're using today, Zoom, is excellent for that. You can do FaceTime if you have an Apple product. You can use Skype. And those are probably the three most popular programs, apps, if you will, that people use today for staying in touch. And I just think that face-to-face, being able to actually see the person makes all the difference in the world.
Suppose I'm sort of shy and, it's hard for me to reach out. How do I get over that?
There's no easy way to get over that. You just simply have to pick up the phone and do it. It reminds me of the time that I was giving a talk at a conference, and I was talking about how solo agers need to, in general, stay in touch with people as they get older, and that there are better and not so good places to live as we get older, where you're not so isolated. So this one fellow raised his hand in the back of the room and he said, I live about 10 miles out in the country and I really like it that way. And, what advice would you give me? I looked at him and I said, well, it's your choice where you want to live as you get older, but I would encourage you to think about how you want to spend your final days. And if you want to spend your final days all by yourself, you may in fact die out there all by yourself, and somebody will find you 2 or 3 days later. So that is totally your choice, and I would never condemn you for it.
How do you respond to that bit of reality?
Well, he didn't have much to say.
You mentioned for this advice, this quick 2 or 3 tips, of a key element of the top on your list was this business of getting a group of people you can depend on. Other things that you'd recommend as well?
Well, I do recommend getting your finances in order, and I always recommend to people that they see a financial planner. They don't have to engage that person for life, but just have a couple meetings with him or her so that you will get an understanding of your cash flow and whether you're going to be able to support yourself with the lifestyle you have today with the money you've saved. I also encourage people to have a will and an advance directive and powers of attorney for finances and for healthcare. These are the kinds of things that we ought to all have in order by the time we're entering our mid-60s.
One of the things I liked about your book is there was lots of practical, page after page, this, be sure and get this, check off, do all this stuff you're talking about in great detail. I think that's very helpful for somebody.
Yeah, people have told me that it's been very helpful for them.
When I first met you, I think it was through ASTD many years ago, and I believe at that point you were working at Lockheed or something. You had a corporate job.
Yep.
Here you are later in life when a lot of people just sort of kick back and retire, whatever, and you're starting a whole new thing. What's it like to be this entrepreneur sort of later in life with something that's so important for people? I mean, it's got to be a very satisfying kind of work, but it's a different lifestyle for you.
It is. It is very satisfying. And, baby boomers today are just not doing retirement the way their parents did. So we're kind of making it up as we go. People are engaging in all kinds of activities that add meaning and purpose to their life. Most of the people I know that are retired, fully retired, are giving back to their communities in some way. They're working for a nonprofit, and I mean volunteering for a nonprofit. They're, helping to raise dogs for canine companions, or they're on the board of a food bank, or they're just serving food at a food bank. There is so much need out there for people with the skills and the know-how and the life experience that we have.
What has been the biggest satisfaction, or when it went really well and you said, my God, I'm really glad I did this?
I have to say the most gratifying thing is when people come up to me after a talk or email me to say how much they learned, how much my talk or my book or something meant to them, and what they're doing because of that. That's hugely rewarding for me, and it just makes me want to continue to do this for as long as I can. And I do love to write. And I'm still doing a regular column on retirement and aging for Forbes.com. I post at least twice a month there. I have to maintain my website, and I try to keep up with social media as best I can. So it really becomes a full-time job, just being the solo aging guru of the country.
Well, I really have to congratulate you for what you've done, because you essentially kind of started from zero, from nothing. Although you had a lot of appropriate background, but still, you saw a need out there. You educated yourself, and you just launched yourself into a whole new arena in your life, and you're doing really well with it. I just admire you and congratulate you for what you've done. I'd sort of wrap up with is, when you in fact have retired and you aren't doing this anymore, although it is sort of funny, you're actually the model for what you're recommending for others. That's kind of ironic.
Yeah, pardon. Yeah.
What kind of legacy would you like to leave? What would you like people to say about the work you've done?
I think I would certainly like to be remembered for the work I'm doing now and for introducing the idea of solo aging. I'm thrilled that people are recognizing that solo aging is an issue, not just for individuals, but for society. It's going to be a much bigger issue as this generation grows much older, because almost 20% of baby boomer women did not have children. So there's a lot of solo agers out there.
Well, again, I just want to thank you for your time. I think you've done a marvelous business. Congratulations on your book. It's been fun to talk with you about this. And, you know, in the old days, I would give you a hug at the end of our interview.
I know. We have to have a virtual hug.
Virtual hug. And so once again, Sarah, thanks so much for your time. And I hope to see you in person one of these days when we can find you again.
Yeah, when we all come out the other side of this, hopefully.